If you're new here, like I always say, welcome to the channel. Today is Saturday, June 25th, 2022. Hope you're all doing well. I hope you all had a great week and that you are enjoying the weekend so far. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about the Foundation Fighting Blindness Visions Conference 2022 that I attended last weekend. I attended this conference in Orlando, Florida at the Coronado Springs Resort at Disney. And I got there. I flew in late Thursday night. That was the June 16th. The conference took place on Friday, Saturday, June 17th and 18th, and then I came back home, flew back to Pittsburgh on Sunday the 19th. And in today's video, I want to talk about a little bit about what the conference is to give you guys an idea of what the thing actually was, and discuss some of my key takeaways kind of in a broad sort of way, because I only have about 10 minutes here because my laptop doesn't, it has a hard time downloading and saving videos that exceed much past 10 minutes. So I'll get as much done as I can. I'm going to talk about these things in a somewhat general sense. And then what I may do is go on and talk about things more specific, like dedicate entire videos to different things that I took away from the conference. But this is mainly for informational purposes. So for those of you who don't know, the Foundation Fighting Blindness is the leading nonprofit in the United States that focuses on raising money to fund research to discover treatments and cures for blinding retinal diseases. Retinitis, these include retinitis pigmentosa, Stargardt's, Usher syndrome, macular degeneration, and a whole host of other genetic inherited retinal diseases that lead to blindness. And the FFB is the leading, like I said, the leading nonprofit in the US in this effort to do so. And every other year, roughly every other year, they host what is called the Visions Conference. The Visions Conference. It sounded like I said divisions there, but the Visions Conference. And it's held at a different place every time. And this year it happened to be in Orlando, Florida, which was awesome because I hadn't been to Orlando in over 20 years, and it seemed like a good opportunity to go. And main reason why I went is because I am the chapter president for the Foundation Fighting Blindness Pittsburgh chapter, and it was suggested by multiple people that I attend the conference, and I'm very glad that I did. And I'm going to talk about things. I'm going to talk about some of my key takeaways and kind of what the experience was. So Friday morning was the first session. We had breakfast, and then there was the first session, and it was a panel discussion with three gentlemen who I believe were all, if they weren't all in their 50s, at least two of them were in their 50s. But these three guys all had different levels of vision loss. They all had retinitis pigmentosa, which is what I have, and they had all different. I think one guy was completely blind, and the other two guys were legally blind and had some sort of usable vision. And the focus of the panel discussion was to talk about assistive technology, not only technology like, like when you think of technology, one thinks of like apps that, voice technology, apps, screen readers on a laptop, things like that, but also technology meaning like seeing eye dogs and white canes. And I got a lot out of that. Definitely opened my eyes, no pun intended. Well, I very much intended to say that, so pun intended. And got a lot out of it and was introduced to a lot of perspectives. And I must say that people in my life in my personal life, have been sort of nudging me in that direction to sort of use these aids and learn how to use them sooner rather than later. And I've always thought that was a good idea. I've always been in agreement of that. And it was always in my list of things to do. However, actually seeing and hearing people who have been there, done that, actually having to do it themselves in their own life and actually experiencing a lot of the things that I have experienced, am experiencing, and may experience in the future, hearing and seeing them talk about their experience and what they learned how to do and their regrets and things like that was a very, very useful, powerful experience for me. And I'm going to talk about some of those things in another video here in the near future regarding the cane and some technology and things like that. So that was awesome. And then for lunch on Friday, we had a keynote speaker from Chad Foster. Chad Foster wrote a book called Blind Ambition. He has retinitis pigmentosa as well, and he went blind at 21 when he was in college and totally shifted his career focus. He was going to be in the medical field and then realized, can't really be doing what I'm doing, want to do in the medical field if I can't see. So he changed to a business major career track sort of thing, and became a very, very successful consultant in the technology industry. And he gave the keynote address that day at lunch. And it was really, really cool to hear him speak because he is in a position in his life that I strive to be in financially and in business and things like that. And it was really cool to hear what he had to say and the advice he had to give and the motivation and the wisdom that he had to impart on all of us at the conference. So it was very, very cool. And it was neat to hear things, perspectives that I hadn't heard before, as well as to hear things that I've been thinking about myself in my own life for a really, really long time. So um, there was some good validation there, as with a lot of the other seminars. I attended some other seminars about clinical trials and gene therapies and stuff like that. Didn't really get a whole lot of new information there because I kind of keep up with the research relatively well as a non-scientific person, and so that was pretty. It was good stuff. It was all really great stuff. These people that are working on these treatments and cures around the country and around the world are really doing the work of angels, for lack of a better way of putting it. And I'm very, very grateful. And many of us are very, very grateful, not only us that are affected, but our families and friends as well. And I made that known in a lot of these talks too. When we had chances to ask questions and make comments, I made sure I thanked people for their time and their efforts and doing everything that they're doing for me and for so many others. One thing, though, that I will say was kind of a downer was I attended a seminar about the ethics of clinical trials, and I asked a question during the Q&A. I told them that I'm monocular, so I only have vision, meaning I only have vision in one eye, and not a lot of vision in the other eye, and talked about, that makes me not it makes me a bad candidate and probably an impossible candidate for any clinical trials. And I asked basically, what is a late enough stage in a clinical trial for me to be in one, or should I just wait for something to come to the market after it's approved by the FDA? And the woman who led that discussion did say that unfortunately I should just wait till something comes onto the market, which could be who knows when. I mean, there's really no time limit on these things, and trials they either meet or miss their endpoints, which could set them back years, propel them forward or set them back years. So it was kind of disheartening to hear that, but I suspected it. And I'm not necessarily sitting around waiting for a cure either, but it would be nice to know when something may become available, and it's just not meant to be right now, for me. And that's okay because, like I said, I'm not sitting here waiting for a cure. I'm, striving to live as normal and successful a life as I possibly can despite my circumstances. And that's what I'm committed to doing for myself, and that's what I am doing, and I'm very successful at it. So, what else? What else? What else? So finally, I guess really what I want to say, and I should really dedicate more time to this, but I met a lot of other chapter presidents there that I have grown to know over Zoom for the last year that I've been involved as a chapter leader. And it was really fun to hang out with people in person and see how tall they are, how short they are, interact with them, feel their energy, stuff like that. And I spent a lot of time with some people in particular. My good friend Jessie Walensky, she's the president of the president of the LA chapter, Los Angeles chapter. I've known her for a couple of years virtually, and we got to meet in person and hang out and spend time together, and that was really great. I met a bunch of other people. Monica Pruitt, she's a big TikToker. Yeah, she's deaf-blind. She has Usher syndrome. I got to meet her and spend some time with her, and a lot of other people. And it was just a really, really great time to spend time with, again, chapter leaders and staff at the foundation and just meet all these people. And it was really, really great. And I also want to say that it was an amazing experience to see the spectrum of blindness right before me. So I've mentioned the spectrum of blindness on TikTok, and I've mentioned it on here, that it's not just you're either fully sighted or you have no sight at all. if one was to go to this conference and they didn't have exposure to the blind community, I feel like they'd be baffled because you had people who were walking around without canes, because of course there were some fully sighted people there, people that were low vision that maybe didn't have a cane, people with canes, people with dogs, people with canes guiding other people with canes. It was the spectrum of blindness physically manifested in that conference room, in that building, in that hotel. And it was very educational and impactful for me to see that in the volume that I saw it. And it would be, I just can't imagine what someone who is fully sighted or doesn't have exposure to that world would think when they saw that. And it's because of that and many other things and many other reasons that I strongly suggest that if you have never been to a visions conference, to go to the next one. And if if you're affected, especially go affected by one of these diseases. If you're a family member or a friend or someone who is just curious about this world, go to the conference. Go to the conference. It's definitely a worthwhile experience. And that's really all I wanted to talk about today. Thank you so much to the FFB for everything you are doing for me and for everybody else, and for including me to be a growing part, allowing me to be a growing part in your mission. And thank you for a nice conference. And that's really about it. So I'm going to talk about some more takeaways from the conference, sort of one by one, like I said, dedicating individual videos to certain things, because I think it would do things justice to do things that way. So that's what I'm going to do. And I will see you all in the next video. Thank you all for watching. Really appreciate it. Love you all to death. And I'll talk to you soon.